Hi everyone, my name is Robin Speziale and I'm the national best-selling author of a book called Market Masters. In this video, we'll be talking about a very successful investor. His name is Jim Rogers. And Jim Rogers was George Soros's partner, and they had started up the Quantum Fund. Soros is still a hedge fund manager, but Jim had parted ways with George Soros years ago. And Jim talks a lot about his move from America to Asia and how he's raising his kids to actually speak Mandarin. And he believes that, while the last 100 years, were America's years, lots of growth and prosperity and wealth was created in America then. He says the next 100 years belongs to Asia, and there's going to be a lot of growth, prosperity, and wealth in China and in a lot of these periphery countries that benefit from all that growth. And so, these are Jim Rogers' top 10 investing insights. And he had outlined these insights much later in a book he published called Street Smarts, which you can pick up in your library or your local store. So I'll be going over Jim Rogers' 10 insights on investing in the market from 1 to 10. They're not in rank order. I'm sure they have equal importance. So rule number 1, Jim Rogers says, if you were smart at the start of the 19th century, you made your way to London. If you were smart at the start of the 20th century, you moved to New York. And if you're smart at the start of the 21st century, you'll find your way to Asia. Number 2, Rogers says, we are in a long secular bull market in commodities worldwide. Like all bull markets, it will end in a bubble, but the bull market still has several years to go. And again, he wrote this several years ago. 3, it is good to lose money, to go broke at least once, and preferably twice. But if you're going to do it early in your career. Do it early, and it is not the end of the world. It teaches you how much you did not know. 4, the way you become a successful investor is by investing only in what you yourself have a wealth of knowledge about. Everybody knows a lot about something, cars, fashion, whatever it is. Just take a look at your daily life. Concentrate on what you know. You will see a major change coming long before anybody in Wall Street will. 5, Jim Rogers says, most successful investors do nothing most of the time. Do not confuse movement with action. Know when to sit and wait. 6, if I were to tell you that you could only make 25 investments in your lifetime, chances are you'd be extremely careful about investing. Invest very rarely. 7, Jim Rogers says, if you want to make a lot of money, resist diversification. Brokers promote the notion that everybody should diversify, but that is mainly to protect themselves. The way to get rich is to find what is good, focus on it, and concentrate your resources there. 8, Jim Rogers says, New York is the economic and cultural capital of what is now the largest debtor nation in the world. The largest debtor nation in the history of the world, actually. The world's biggest creditor nations are in Asia. This is where the assets are. That is where the dynamism and energy are. And as we talked about before, Jim Rogers thinks the next 100 years belongs to Asia. All the growth, prosperity, wealth will accumulate there. And to be honest, as an aside, again, I'm seeing this a lot in China, especially. You have these big tech companies now like Baidu, Alibaba, Tencent that are rivaling the big U.S. tech companies. Whether or not they'll surpass these companies, it's just such a force to reckon with now. So number 9, Alan Greenspan's greatest strengths were those of a politician. The way capitalism is supposed to work is that when people get into trouble, they fail. Smart, competent people come in, take over the assets, reorganize, and start again from a sound base. Greenspan's way was to prop up failure. He and the politicians were taking money from competent people, giving it to the incompetent people, and telling the incompetent people, here, the government is on your side. Now you can compete with the competent people with their money and our support. And finally, Jim Rogers, rule number 10 here, he says, I am dying to find a way to invest in North Korea and Myanmar. The major changes in these two countries are among the most exciting things I see right now, looking to the future. Another thing I'm extremely bullish on for the next 20 or 30 years is Chinese tourism. The Chinese have not been able to travel for decades, and now they can, both inside and outside the country. Chinese tourism will explode. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed these 10 insights on investing by Jim Rogers. And These you can find in his book, Street Smarts. And he's definitely an interesting guy to look up on YouTube. Read a couple of his books. He's mostly into commodity investing. He's a macro top-down guy. He's definitely not a bottom-up stock picker. But just his relationship with George Soros and that of his founding of the Quantum Fund, there's a lot of history there, and he has tons of experience in the investment world. All right, talk soon. If you have any questions for me, shoot me an email, r.speziale@gmail.com, or visit my site, robinspeziale.com. Thanks.